last tune that I played for you was a tune that I composed for my friend in North Leitrim, Jim Connolly, and the tune is called Jim Connolly's Jig. Now, a jig, I suppose the easiest way to describe a jig, it's a piece of music in 6/8, but it's more accurate to describe it as two groups of 3 notes. Okay, so we can only pick two directions on a guitar, and that's down and up. And if you've got 2 groups of 3 notes, the first group of 3 notes will quite obviously be down, up, down. And then after that, the next group of 3 notes, the way I play them the same way again. So I go down, up, down for the first group of 3 notes, and then down, up, down again. So you end up with this down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down. And if you say it quickly enough, you'll even sound like you're speaking the rhythm of a jig. So be down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, and you get this kind of rhythm. Now, I know a lot of people play everything down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. The problem with that style of picking is that there's a great tendency for you to play the tune, rather than 2 groups of 3, to play it as 3 groups of 2, which is not going to give you the correct rhythm, if you like, for an Irish jig. You may have all of the correct notes, but you won't have the correct rhythm. And I often liken this to perhaps the great cowboy actor John Wayne doing a play by Shakespeare, where you know, he may have all of the right words but the wrong kind of accent. So when I'm playing a jig, I play down, up, down, and so on, to get that. You change the rhythm, you change the way the tune sounds, not always for the better. So to really do something ridiculous here, if I play this jig with all downstrokes, it kind of sounds like this. And as you can hear, that's you know, it's like a MIDI file. It hasn't got the rhythm. Even though when we write music, all the notes are written out, you know, the same, they're not played the same. If they're all played the same, they'd be... But they're not played like that. They've all got slightly different lengths, and they're, you know, some notes are slightly softer. For the accompaniment, there's a number of different ways of accompanying tunes. Now, the way I learnt, I guess when I first started playing Irish music, I used to play along with a lot of what were in those days records, the big LP vinyl records, and I used to just sit in my room and strum along with records. I learned a lot listening to the piano players. Well, I suppose my favourite group would have been the Shaskeen band from Galway, and the piano players that they had in that band, I used to listen very closely to the chords that they were playing. And I used to just put the record on the turntable and strum along with it, and I picked up a lot about the music that way. So you can, you know, strum along in a sort of a piano backing, and that will fit over the jig. It's actually the same strumming pattern that you'll find in the very famous song, I think it might have been Bing Crosby, the Teddy Bear's Picnic. So it's the same. The A part of the Teddy Bear's Picnic is actually in jig time. It's actually what we call a single jig, but the strumming for that. So that's one way. The other way is a kind of more conducive, I suppose, to the bouzouki kind of style of strumming, which is one-ender, two-ender, and it's down, up, down, down, up, down. And you're basically playing a bass note. A bass note and a chord, but you're playing. The other thing I want to say about accompanying Irish music, you can't really accompany a tune unless you know it. Now that doesn't mean that you have to be able to physically play the tune on your instrument, but it does mean that you have to be able to know how the tune plays, how the notes of the tune. You have to know the tune itself, right? I often get, start a tune off and somebody says, what key is that in? And it's the wrong question. You need to say what chords are in that tune. In other words, you can't fake it, so to speak. To me, in music, if you fake something that's just perhaps if that's your attitude, you should be in politics rather than music. Music is there's a certain exactness about accompanying music. So you need to know the tune, and certainly if you can't even work out the key, well, you really need to sit down and study the tune. There are lots of tunes that I accompany that I can't play, but I know the tune and I know where the tune's going and what's to come next, even though I can't physically play the tune. So make a study of the chord progression to the tune before you play it. And if you don't have a recording of the tune, most of the people that I play with over the years, not all of them, but most of them, don't mind you recording them at a session, as long as you're recording it for the right reasons. If in 6 months' time they see a CD out with their name on it, they might get a bit upset, but always ask first. And look, some